You're going to love these Christmas crafts. Keep watching. I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome. Keep in mind, any contest or giveaway mentioned is closed at this time. Stay tuned Thursday when we start all over. Enjoy.
All right, number one is going to be the snowflake sign. I'm going to take some of this ribbon that I got on clearance. Well, it's not ribbon, it's actually like a rope. And I think I got it from Walmart. And this is a ornament from Dollar Tree. Very pretty snowflake. Then we have this wallpaper, these little like panels of wallpaper that come from Dollar Tree, and they're like a peel and stick, real easy to use. And this is a sign that I'm repurposing that I made for fall last year. It's just two pieces of the long signs glued together on the back with popsicle sticks. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn these in the way that I would like for them to be on the sign. And I'm going to line them up here and then just use my rotary blade and cut them off on the bottom. It did slide, and my husband was talking to me. I got a little distracted and I cut too much. But that's not going to be a problem because I have trim for this, so it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Now I'm just going to peel off that first little panel like the directions say on the back. I'm lining it up on the side. Just going to hold it down and then get ready to grab the next piece. And before I press it down, I'm going to grab my long wooden ruler and just press it flat as I pull the backing away. If you do it like this, you won't have the bubbles and things like that. It'll just lay completely down and there won't be a chance for any air to escape, get bubbly in there. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to peel the little strip off first, line it up, press my ruler down, peel that up, and then press it out as I am peeling it. I'm just going to lay it right over the top instead of cutting it off. I had a little excess where I got out of line here, so I'm just going to use this little blade and cut that off. Okay, and it looks good so far. You see where I've got that extra little gap up there on the top? It'll be covered though. Alright, so since I did that, I've decided to add a piece of rope here and use my little white trim also. I'm just going to use my glue gun and protecting my fingers. I'm going to go not on the edge, but rather close to the edge, just kind of allowing for the width of that rope, and I'm going to press it down into the edge of the board. And I do cut that tape off later. By the way, I don't think I have that recorded, but there's some tape on the end of the rope. It just keeps it from fraying, but I do take that off once it's glued down so it will look better. Alright, and I'm going to go all the way to the corner. Now I'm using a clip to hold that corner there, and it's rather difficult with a thicker rope to make a tight square corner, but so it kind of curves a little bit. It doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, you might want to try like a thinner rope or a jute or something like that. But there is a solution for that because you can kind of see the edge of the board underneath it, behind the rope. You see there before I clamped it? But I'm going to fix that. Don't worry. Same process here. I'm just going to start in the corner and I'm going to go around. And this time I'm just going to put the bead of glue right next to that rope and on the board. And that way we don't have any squishing out and making a mess. We're just going to continue around all the way on the inside. And this gives it a little bit of an extra layered look. And I like it. I think that the colors of the ropes together, they kind of reflect what's going on in the snowflake. So I think they look good together. But you can tell me what you think. Okay, so we're going to go around and around and around, just like that, until we get back in the corner. Now when we get in the corner, you're going to take your scissors, kind of cut it a slant, and then put some glue inside of the pieces of rope that's still there. And then you can just press it down and it won't come unraveled. Okay, so you see the corner here? I'm going to take my little bullnose pliers, for those who are asking, that's what they're called, and just cut the corners off of each corner. Alright, so with the snowflake, I couldn't decide if I wanted to keep that ribbon on there or not, and I just decided to take it off. It needs a little bit of help. There's a little bit of issue here. I'm just going to put a piece of tape on the back. We're going to cover up the hole that's in the front. I'm just kind of scratching it down with my fingernail so it won't come off. I'm going to take some of this lightweight spackling and just go right down in that little hole to help cover it up. It's not completely camouflaged now, but it's better. And just using the back of my rubber spatula as a scraper, I just take the excess right off. If you don't put the tape on the back, it'll just squish right out the back. So I noticed that the believe word was not centered, and it was kind of driving me nuts a little. So very, very carefully, I just popped it right off of there. Look at that. Now I'm just kind of measuring to see where is going to be the center, so I can get my snowflake relatively in the center of this sign. I'm just using a pen. That was the closest thing. I do find a pencil later, but pen is what I had. So now I have a little guide, and I can place this back down right in the correct spots. So that's what I'm going to do right here. Looking for my little guidelines and then just popping it back down. Just pressing it, and I'm just taking a little time to remove little extra spider webs and stuff off of it from the glue, you know, the glue webs. I'm just pressing it down really well. Now, since I want to try to make this a little bit straighter, I'm just taking my ruler and then a pencil, marking it. And under that B2, so that it goes right back where it needs to go. Little fancy glue work there. And then I'm going to flip it back over, line it up with those little marks I made, and then press it down as well. I like how they did this piece. So, you know, thumbs up for Dollar Tree, because that little piece of the metal sign has like a little rusty tarnish on it, and it looks really good. I think they have these in a smaller too, but I like the big one for this. Okay, so I have these little ornaments, which I also think came from the Dollar Tree, but I'm not certain because I took the packaging off of it. And I was trying to think of how I would want these to go on my sign, but I decided that I wanted them kind of centered on the sides of Believe. So, and they're puffy, like little pillows, kind of stuffed, so I'm trying to hold them down so that they will glue down straight instead of trying to roll off to the side. Kind of making sure that they're where they're supposed to be, and then once the glue is dried, this is how it looks. And then I'm just going to use a simple hanger on the back. DIY number 3 is the Joy Breadboard. Alright, so I have some of my antiquing wax. I have another one of these little metal signs. This is a little breadboard that I thrifted and sanded just a touch. Just used my little foam sander. It is about looks like about a 9.5 by a maybe 4.5, 4.25, and then a little tiny wreath. This is the ribbon that I was thinking about using from the other project, and then a little bit of greenery. So I'm just going to use a wet wipe here. I'm going to get a little bit of that antiquing wax and place down on there. Going to rub it in just a bit, kind of blot it, and then start blotting that onto the sign. I want to make it look a little more aged because if you remember the snowflake in the beginning, it was aged. So I want to give it kind of a matching look, and you can do this by just kind of layering it on, and that's what I did. I had it a little bit lighter and then a little bit more until I got the look that I wanted. And then it's important to let that dry completely. You can see it's just a little bit of tarnish on there. While it is drying by the fan, I am going to fix up my wreath here. I want my wreath. This is just a little piece of, I think it was muscadine vine. I picked this out of the yard a couple of years ago. I made a large wreath and then I made a couple of little ones. And I'm just going to wrap a piece of that same pick that we've been using, working from that same piece, really stretching our dollar. I'm just going to use a little bit of floral wire. I'm trying to get next to the inside of it. I'm sorry that I'm a little out of frame. I was really focusing on what I was doing. And you're just going to wrap that around. Then I'm going to cut off some of these berries really carefully. I don't want any that look white because I'm not going to frost this. It's going to be, I want my red berries, deep red berries. So I'm only going to put them on the side where the greenery is. And I'm going to leave them in little bundles. And that's all we'll be putting on that little wreath. That's it. So I thought, okay, well, I could use this bow, and I even cut dovetails in it, thinking that I would use it, but I don't know. I keep thinking about it, but I just can't do it. So I'm going to use this Dollar Tree ribbon. I'll tell you about this Dollar Tree ribbon. It's very pretty. It's nice, but it frays terribly. You can see already the frays in the edges of it. When I'm tying my bows, it just comes apart. It'll stay, the bow will stay together, but all of the edges just start fraying off. So I had to go through there and pick those off, trim that off of there. And I did trim my tails just at a slant. You just look at that stuff all over the place. You know, it's a good thing I like rustic. It didn't bother me so much, but you know, I still had to work on it a little. So one more little simple bow, just like that, to go on top. Trim, trim. Then I'm going to glue down my joy. It's all dry. Y'all know joy. You know I love that word. Something we should strive for every single day in everything we do. You gotta have joy. Happiness comes from within, and it's something that nobody can give you. No. Okay, so then you place this down here, here, and wherever else you want to put it so that it will stay, and then press it down and hold it for a while so that it won't pop up. Because mine was not flat on the back. Then just decide where you want your little bow to be. And I just kind of tucked it behind there. And with a little bit of glue, that'll hold it in place. Now I wanted a hanger in my breadboard, so I'm just going to take another piece of jute and just loop it over and then tie one knot and slide that knot close to the end. And then take the loop, press it through that hole. I was happy to see that it actually fit, and then press the knot through the loop and pull it. And there you go. There it is. What do you think? Not bad, huh? What I want to do. What are you doing in your house? You know, are you doing farmhouse or rustic or glam or modern? I'd love to know how other people are doing their trees in their homes this year.
Now we're going to make a scrap mini banner. All of those little pieces that we cut off, I've got in a pile over here. I'm just going to be using the burlappy and red. You can use string, thin rope, or some jute. I've got some beads I used in another project. I thought they would be perfect, kind of pearly and red. I'm going to use about 24 inches, 22 inches. I'm using the jute because it fits through my beads. If you have beads with a bigger center, you can use a different type of a rope or twine or something to go through the middle of it. Maybe even the baker's twine that's red and white would probably be cute, but you don't see much of it in the end project. Okay, so I've tied a knot in one end. In the other end, I'm going to add a little hot glue. Protected fingers, I'm going to twist that, and now we essentially have a little guide to get us through every one of those beads. Now it's stiff on the end and it won't fray. You're going to save your time. So go ahead and start making your pattern, whichever pattern you like. And I was sure to pick the best of the pieces that didn't have a lot of fraying or miscuts or anything like that. So they're about the same size. and I know I am going to be adding them on here. I have found, because I've done mini wreaths before, that you can flip them over on the back and work from the back side, and it's easier because you can see exactly where your glue line is and you don't have such a big mess. So I've laid down my line of glue. You can protect your fingers here, and then I've flipped that over and pressed it down into it. Now I'm going to take a different color bead. I've got my red now. I'm going to go down here and grab another piece. That one was kind of mangled looking, so I'm going to grab a better piece. And I'm just going to go back and forth between the candy cane and the stripes. So what would you use this for? What kind of project would you use this on? Okay, well, you can use it for a tiered tray. You can use it on a cake stand. You can use it on your desk. You can put this on your makeup mirror. You can use this, maybe you have an elf that comes to your house every Christmas, and maybe the elf would like to be welcomed with a banner like this. That would be really nice too. An elf comes to our house. So you're going to keep adding. You're just going to vary it and add it until you get as much as you want. This is a very short one, and it fits perfectly on my wood slice tray or stand that you will see in the end screen that I made. So it fits on there nicely, and you only have to use a little bit of double stick tape to hold it down, or some of that putty to hold it in place, and then you can remove it. This also would be cute if you put it like in a gift basket. That would be really cute around the edge of your basket, and then put all the goodies in it. That would be cute. So when you get to the end, go ahead and tie this off and make it big enough, make the hole big enough where it won't slide through. And then for extra security, I'm going to add a dot of hot glue there and then slide the bead up on it. And this is how it will look so far. It will try to flip over on its own because it doesn't weigh very much. So I've got some little shoestring bows that I already had made. I'm just going to add those to the back of each bead on the ends. That was my little girl's idea, so thank you very much for that. That looks really cute. And this is what it's going to look like. You could probably even wrap this around a candle base or something if you wanted, as long as it's a as it's a flameless candle. You don't want to use anything else. All right, the third project is a greenery basket. So keeping with the Believe theme, I got these little wooden words from Dollar Tree. This little Santa is thrifted, and I've had him for a very long time. I'm going to take a little floral foam and a little white basket I got from the thrift store, but you can use the little tins from Dollar Tree if you want. Some leftover frosty picks. This pick with the snow on it. And then a bunch of these 1980s, 1990s. What year do you think this was? I found a bunch of them at the thrift store. And my mother-in-law has some of these somewhere around this house. These are some extra picks that we took off of other things. And then I have some table scatter with the white and silver, which look like snowballs to me, so it works. Let's start on our Believe sign here. You can use paint markers, paint pens, regular markers, paint, whatever you choose. I decided to start with the paint pens, or my little acrylic paint pens. And I'm going to color one part of this hat red, which traditionally this part of the hat is red, and then I will use white on the part that's normally furry and the little ball that's on the end. I'm also going to use a little white when I finish the word Believe. So I'll start off with this silvery gray here, and it was skipping a lot on this wood. It was leaving a lot to be desired, and I really wasn't getting the coverage I wanted. So I'm just going to switch over to I think this is like a aged silver, a little bit richer of a color, and it really gives me the coverage that I was looking for. So, you can switch stuff up, and you can paint right over the top of your marker if you're not pleased with your work. I'm always trying to save my projects as best I can. Anything I can do, if I can paint over it, I'm going to paint over it. If I can sand it off and start over, then that's what I'll do. So continuing around until I get all of that word done, and then I'm going to turn it on its side, and I'm going to get behind and inside of each of those letters, because this is going to be in the project and you'll be able to see it. You can paint your back too if you would like. And see, I put the little white dots in the middle for Believe. Now you can really tell what the word says. I'm going to put some cool temp hot glue down in there, and I'm going to put my foam on top to hold it in place. Sometimes it will break loose because this is that crumbly kind. I don't recommend it, but it's what I had on hand. Again with the picks, if you can unwrap the bottom of it, you're almost sure to have individual picks underneath. So feel free to rip those things apart and just use what you need. If you find something at the thrift store that looks really raggedy but it has the perfect greenery for you, go ahead and get it. Take off the pieces you need and redonate the others. Okay, I will be showing you both angles here as I'm working. I've tried doing my florals at different angles, but this seems to be the one that people prefer the most because you're looking over the top. You see what I'm seeing. So I've got them kind of in a straight line from the top right corner, the middle, and the bottom left corner. I'm going to use this boxwood. This is like a frosted or kind of a frost-kissed piece. And I like the difference between the greens in here. And I'm just going to keep adding this. You know, when you walk through the forest, you don't just see one thing, right? No, you don't just see lambs there hanging out by itself. Not generally. And since I like rustic and I like woodland type stuff, this is how I feel like I can capture that essence. Plus, I'm bringing in a little vintage here with the 80s and 90s ornaments. And I'm going to continue to look from side to side, round and round, just like this, to make sure that I have everything just how I like it. Now, I'll turn it from side to side all the time. Y'all know this. You know it. I turn it, and I look at it, and I change directions. And if anything looks like it is hanging outside, like this piece, I just go ahead and push it down into the foam so that I still have that nice round appearance on the outside. But you do yours however you want. You can continue to add. You can even pull something out if you don't like it. Nobody's judging this to see that you get it done in the first shot. Just keep trying. Get it, you know, till you get it how you like it. Now we're going to turn the Santa head into a pick. But he's got a little ornament hanger hook on top of his head. We're going to take that off too. I'm going to use my Fix-All super glue from Dollar Tree. Put a dot on the top and a dot on the bottom of his beard. I'm going to grab my glue gun and put some glue on the back. I'm kind of flooding it, forcing it out of there. And I'm going to add down another floral pick to this spot. Take a little piece of paper and squish it down over the back. That's going to help lock it into place. And I'm going to set that aside and let it dry for a while. I don't want this coming off. Then I'm going to take my little pliers here. Also, you can find something similar to these in my Amazon store. And I'm going to put him down in the top. Now, I don't want him to be way over the top. So, you know, if you have a really long pick, you can always cut the end off, trim it off, make it a little bit shorter. But I like that position. So I want these to look like snowballs because they kind of remind me of snowballs. I'm going to just put them on the picks, and you can use glue here to hold yours on, but be sure it's cool glue. And then I'm just going to add these around here or there. I end up moving these picks about a bazillion times. It's kind of a step down, is just what I'm showing you there. It's kind of a step down from the top. And then I want to show you just a couple of these ornaments. They're so darn cute. They're wooden. And they're like painted little wooden people and sceneries. So we got drums and Santa and Frosty. I'm just going to cut these little thread hangers off the top as close down as I can get them. It doesn't have to be perfect. And show you how we're going to add these on here. I'm going to use some of these white picks that came off of some other picks I had. Just my spare parts. I'm going to add some glue here. I've bent the end of this so that it's kind of has a wider area to sit, and I'm going to rock it back and forth until that's completely covered in the glue. I'm going to hold that, and then when I lay it down, I'm going to make sure that it is leaning someplace where it will dry in the correct position. So I'm just using the branches in there to hold that up. The ones that are a little more narrow can be a bit more challenging to do, so please protect your hands. You could always use a little drill and drill a little hole and glue that in. This is what works for me though. And I'm going to add these in at different heights. Now my thought was, okay, well we have Santa and this is about believing, so let's add the little toys in there. Let's make this like something that the kids would love. You believe and you have all that. You have such a light spirit and you're so excited about things, and I think that's what makes vintage so wonderful, what makes us love it so much, because it's that feeling of home and those memories. It's just really, really sweet and precious. Okay, so I'm going to add another pick right on the back. I'm putting on the back of the L because it is a long, narrow spot and an easy spot to put it where you don't necessarily see it as much. And once it is dry, you can paint the back and then put that in the sign. And put that sign in the floral or the greenery basket. So I have some of this. It originally came from Target, but I got this a long, long time ago at a store called Dirt Cheap. I am going to cut it off. There's no wire in it, and I'm just going to use it to embellish the top lip of this bucket or this little planter, because you can't see it, right? You're going to miss that piece, but once I got it glued on, this is what it looks like. And you could do the bottom too if you wanted, but all these projects have that same red and white theme going throughout, and you know, and it's about believing. And I love that. Believe. This little greenery basket would be really cute to give to somebody who needs a little encouragement, who needs a little joy and hope. And you see here is that little banner or scrap, bunting, whatever you want to call it, right here. And I just used some double stick tape on the back of the little flags and added it on. It stays there just fine. It's still sitting there. So if you like these projects, I would love is going to be some snow angels. I found these cute little dolls at the thrift store. These are some Dollar Tree snowflake ornaments. There's 8 in a pack. We're going to use 6 of these. 3 of these little house shapes. Doesn't matter what size you get. This is what I had. And either paint or some coordinating paper. So sometimes when you take the backs off of these, the paper will come away from it. Sometimes it'll stick to the box. Do what you need to do to clean that up. Be sure you get around the edges and then trace your boxes onto your paper. And then we're going to cut it out. Now right here you can see I traced it, and now I'm going to go inside the line. See that? If you do that, you're most likely to get the right size that you need when you glue this down to the backing of that little house frame or the house box, whichever way you want to refer to that. And we're going to do 1 for each. Perfect fit. I'm going to use just some school glue, just a glue stick. This is purple and then it disappears. I like to use this because I can see exactly where I'm putting my glue to make sure that I have plenty and everything will stick in place like it should. So I'm just going to place it down. Don't worry about the little edge you see, because the frame will sit on top of that and you'll never see it. Using my little tool, I'm going to just flatten it out. You can use a credit card, you can use a ruler, any flat, thin surface to kind of press it down to make sure that it is stuck down all the way. No bubbles, no wrinkles. And it has a automatic cling, so we don't have to wait like we would maybe with a Mod Podge or a liquid glue. You can get your work done fairly quickly. Not quite as messy. Showing you again on 1 more of these boxes. And you're going to do them all that way. Then I'm going to take my 6 ornaments and some white chalk paint. You can use acrylic paint for this as well. Chalk paint just seems to, it's thicker and it seems to dry a little bit faster. And that matters when you're doing a lot of projects. I do a lot of projects, 2 videos a week. So that's a lot of work. I like my shortcuts where I can get them. Now we're going to layer these because we want these to look like little snow angels. Because those ornaments have the little holes where the hangers go, I'm trying to arrange those where you won't see them once we put the doll down on there. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue and just stack them. I'm kind of lining up the little points on the ends to overlap on each other, and it looks like one continuous piece. Then I'm going to add some glue down to put the cute little doll down. These little dolls are so cute. Look at the little hat. And these were ornaments. They had little red string hangers on them, and I just took those off. Showing you one more time how I do this. You don't have to layer it if you don't want. I just like a layered look, but you could just use one. And you can use whatever type of ornament you want. Something flat though is usually the best. And since snowflake patterns and sort of little geometric designs are common with Scandinavian art, I wanted to use that here. Plus these colors, the gray, the red, the white. I'm trying to stick to that theme for this video. Now, this is how we are going to arrange these. The two matching dolls get matching houses, and then the one that is different will go in the middle, and she'll be in the tall house. You can paint the frames also if you would like, but I like the natural color for this. Alright, and so now that I know where my frames are going to go, I am confident that I can place these down without them being in the way of the frame when we put it back on. You can certainly put your frame on first and then do this step, but I want to be sure that I don't make a mess with the glue and I can touch all over it with my hands without the frame on there, like this. I can press it down, and just good idea. And I had the two beside each other so that because they are matching, I want them to be placed almost the exact same spot. Now I'm not going to measure, and that would make it exact. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and see that both of these are in about the same position. And I think that looks about right. And then I'll press it down. I'm going to use some E6000 and some hot glue on the back of the house so that we can reassemble them. Just placing that down here and there. I'm not overlapping my glue because it may interfere with the way the E6000 works. It's going to hold it in place for a long time, and the hot glue is going to put it together quickly for this project. And it'll hold it in place until that E6000 is dry. Be careful, you don't want to put too much because it will kind of squish out, and I did have that happen. Just a little bit on the inside and on the outside of the box, but I just rubbed it off on my fingers. You could see I'm just cleaning it up. And then you can see just a little bit on the inside, but I'm okay with that. I think this is really cute. And she looks like a little snow angel. So for the other two houses, same thing. We're going to add some E6000 for long hold and strong hold. And I am using Gorilla Glue sticks, so you know that should do the trick, but you never know. I'm just going to show you in case you have the little cheapy glue sticks like we like to use, right? We like to save money. And then go around it with the hot glue, flip that down. Be sure that you paint your backs or either put some decorative paper or some craft paper on the backs so that you don't see the mess. And here's how that one is going to look. Cute. Just for a little extra, and you might not like this, that's totally fine, but I thought I would do a little extra something on here. And these little pom-poms, you can get this type of stuff at Dollar Tree. I've seen like green, I think I saw a light blue, so if they have white, it would be really good for you to use on these Scandinavian style projects. I think they look really cute, and when I looked at inspiration pieces on Pinterest to see exactly what the style was, I felt like this worked with it. I'm going to do another here. You can also look at this as maybe little icicles hanging off of the house. Could be something like that. Or, you know, just leave it empty and don't put anything in there. You could also take some regular pom-poms that are not on a ribbon like that or a cord, and you can hot glue them into the bottom to make it look like, you know, they're close to the snow. I love these. I think they're cute, and I hope that you like them too. The next is a Ornament Mobile. I have done mobiles before, or mobiles, or whatever you want to call them, but I've done them before. I've done some for summertime in a video from way back. I'll try to link that. But this is going to be so nice. So I've got these 10 ornaments, and this beautiful, to me this just screams Scandinavian. I really like that. I've got some of that pitberry cord in red and white. I've got some greenery picks, greenery pieces, and an 11-inch wreath. So I'm going to start by just taking these pieces, and these are really just scrap picks that I've had and used in other arrangements and taken out. We're going to do this in like a clockwise or a counterclockwise pattern, just meaning that we want everything to flow in the same direction all the way around. I'm going to take matching pieces for the top and bottom and matching pieces for the left and right. Go ahead and use some hot glue. If this is something that you want to be permanent, you can use some hot glue. You can also use floral wire to attach these down, but I'm going to be using the pitberry vines to hold it in place, but I'll let you see how that works shortly. Now for the little spaces that are sort of have little gaps, I'm going around with my extras to see how I need to fill it in and cover up the little gaps, and then I will go back in with a little hot glue and place those back down when I know that everything is where it should be. You know how it is when you get to the bottom of your supply, or you're doing an arrangement and you have one piece left and you're thinking, okay, where do I put this one piece? Where do I need this the most? So I was trying to stretch it out because I knew I had a very limited supply of these, but I thought maybe they would fit around this wreath, and they do, so it worked out. Alright, so we're going to start with the white pitberry, and I'm just going to wrap this around. You can kind of weave it in behind the vine there, the vine wreath. You can weave it in behind if you want to, or you can tie it or twist it off so that it stays down. When I go around, I'm going to make sure that I go behind some of the greenery and then in front of some of the greenery. You can see me moving the pieces because I want the pitberry to show, but I don't want all of my little flyaway pieces to be trapped down underneath there. I want it to be kind of a loose, airy look, something very natural. And then when you get it all the way around, you can just clip it off. I don't like to use my scissors for this type of thing. These are some little, I think they're jewelry clippers. I got them at the thrift store, so obviously there's no label, but I think that's what it is. They look sort of like cuticle cutters to me. So after the white is on, I'm going to go back with the red. If you don't want to use two different colors, you don't have to. For me, I wanted both of them because my ornaments are red and white, so I wanted to just carry that through the theme of this video. And I'm just going to do the same process with the red. I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to have some pieces tacked down and some pieces kind of flying away, just weaving it in and out. And this is going to help hold everything in place. When you get to the end, you can just twist your little end around a piece of the vine and it'll lock everything into place. So see, some of the pieces are sticking out, some of the pieces are laying flat, and I like this natural look. To me, the natural look is what really makes this, the wreath part or the top part of this mobile, so pretty. And again, another little piece of glue. This one I forgot to glue down. Then I'm going to take all of the little strings, these are just little cord strings, off of these beautiful ornaments. If you can't find something like these ornaments, get any type of a snow ornament or something that has that pattern on it and use that instead. However you feel like you want to use this. Birds, snowflakes, geometric style, whatever. I think they'll fit nicely into this pattern in this style. I just went through the front of there and tied it in a knot in the back, added a little hot glue to lock it in place. I'm going to trim off this is like a cotton cord. I'm going to trim it off at 18 inches, and it's going to be 18 inches for each piece. They will not all hang at the same length because we are going to test them out, and you'll see how that is done. It's not hard to do, so don't be intimidated by it and think that you can't do it. You absolutely can. My camera angle is not the best, but I am going to do the best I can with my gift of gab to explain to you exactly what I'm doing here. Alright, so then to hang it, I am going to take two 18-inch, could be slightly longer, strips of that same pitberry. I chose the white, and I'm just going to twist it around the top of the wreath, not the bottom, the top, because this is going to be the means for us to hang this from whatever type of a shepherd's hook or whatever you want to use. Now see, it works very well of holding the weight, so that's, you don't have to worry about that. These pitberries are on a wire, and that's going to help hold it in place. So I've just done, if you want to imagine, 12 and 6, 9 and 3, north, south, east, west. That's where I'm connecting them down, and I'm raising them up to make sure that the length is the same on both ones. If you wrap it around and have the same amount in each little knot or wrapped piece, then it should be level when you pick it up. But you can adjust it because it's not glued down, it's just twisted down. So you just adjust it as you go, pick it up, look at it, make sure it's level. Then taking another little piece of that pitberry vine, I am making a loop and then twisting it over on itself on the end, and this will give us a loop to hang it. It's going to hold it right there. See? Very nice. And then I know it's going to work, so I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to start adding in those beautiful tin ornaments. I know that since I have 4 of these, and the bird is going to be something different, but these 4 snowflakes, I am going to add them in 4 places just like before. I'm just going to start at whatever length for the first one. I'm not measuring it. We know that all the cords are 18 inches because we cut them at that length. You can adjust the height by just putting one knot in first, turn it over, lift it up, see where it's hanging, slide it down, adjust it, and then tie your triple knots in it. You can even secure it with hot glue if you want to, once you've done all the hanging, all the tying onto this piece. So when you pull it up like this, the more string you have, the little loose end string, see how long that extra piece is? That's going to make that ornament strand a little bit shorter than the other ones. So you want to make sure that they kind of are at different heights. That's the idea. And then I'll just turn it over and raise it up. And I know you can't see this, but this is me looking to make sure it's the right height. Now I'm going to go back up to the top here and tie around my bird. I'll lift it up. Make sure that it's hanging at the right length. It's a little higher than the rest of them, and that's what I want. This isn't a wind chime, so I'm not aiming for the bird to hit the snowflakes. It's just to be pretty and move around in the wind. But I guess you could, if you wanted to do a little clapper or something, you could do that. And don't worry, I will give you a good look at this in the end. So I know all you can see right now is me tying on the bird. I'm going to tie it very, very securely. The next is going to be wood ornaments, and I have 2. I'm going to start out using any type of snowflake you like. The more geometric, the better. I don't even know if that's supposed to be a snowflake, but I thrifted it. And then these little ornaments. I think you can get something similar at the Dollar Tree to really save some money. And I'm going to use a sanding block, emery board, Snow White, and Christmas Red. Some paintbrushes, some paper. And get off all of the sticker. And then we're going to work on these rough edges. So I started off with my sanding block, but it just can't get in that little space very well. So I'm going to grab my emery board here and just start working on that. I'm going to get it as smooth as I can. If you don't want to do this step, you don't have to. You can always use some wood filler. But I want to do this on both of my ornaments because I want them nice and smooth and high-end looking. No splinters. Now, I want and be sure you wipe off the dust too before you start painting. You don't want to make it gummy or, you don't want to mess your color up. So the round ornament is going to be white. And I'm just going to use that snow white paint to go all over this. Feel free to use your chalk paint if that's what you want to do. And I'm just putting a little bit of extra down in each little crack there. I'm going to use red on the bell, and I'm going to go all over this bell. I did paint both ornaments with 2 coats of paint and let them dry in between, so I have no streaks. And then this little piece I am going to do in red as well. So I like the layered look. I'm going to start adding these down. A little bit of hot glue is going to put this in place quickly, but you can use another type of adhesive if you would like. I'm going to put it on that bell. Perfect and simple. Then this ornament's going to have a little more layering. I'm going to add this red one on it. I'm trying to be careful so I don't have little gushes of glue all over the place. I'm going to center that as good as I can by just looking. Press it down, and then I'm going to add this snowflake right on top of it. It's got a really nice layered look. Press it down and then let it dry. Now we need hangers for these ornaments, right? Because they need to go on a tree. So I'm going to use some of this red cord. You can get things like this at Dollar Tree. You could use baker's twine, the red and white. That would be really pretty for this, I think. I'm going to cut off 2 little pieces, about 6 inches each, maybe 8 inches. And then, yeah, I think that's more like 8 inches. Then I'm going to fold it over and then just make a simple knot right there in the end. You can do a double knot if you want. It's really not necessary because it's also going to be glued down. And I'm going to do the same thing for this other one. Pull it down. And then I decided, why don't we make these reversible? So I grabbed some paper that coordinates, and I'm going to trace these ornaments on this paper. Very simple to do. I'm going to do the same thing with the bell. And then I can cut those out. Very quickly, I want to say thank you to those of you who have bought coffee for me recently. I appreciate you so very much for that. It helps my channel, and I also want to say thank you very much for watching, sharing, liking, commenting, and all that good stuff, because it has helped my channel so much, to the point I was able to go on vacation with my mother to meet her sister, who she has not seen in forever. So that was very exciting, and thank you for allowing me to be able to do that. My work here on the channel is my paycheck. This is what I do for a living, and without you guys watching, I would not have been able to do it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it so much. So now you can see what I'm doing. I'm just taking those strands, I put the knot at the very top, put the flat part down on there, glue it down. Then I'm going to add some glue on the back of here and go all the way around with the glue and add the paper. Now on the other one, I wasn't sure how fast the glue would dry, so I just did it in little sections, holding it in place. Whichever way works for you is going to be the best way for you. And don't worry, if you have a little parts where it's kind of hanging over, you can just sand that off. If it's overlapping, or you got a little paper that still shows, you can just sand it off. Here are the projects from Scandinavia inspired Christmas decor. There's the mobile. If you like it, I would love it if you would share it with others who might like it. I've always been fascinated with this style. I've always thought it was so pretty with the red and white. It just really screams Christmas to me. If you enjoy budget-friendly DIYs that are unique, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the new content that is put out. Okay, so the first is going to be an ornate gift box. You're going to need a little vintage piece or vintage inspired piece. This is not authentic. I'm going to use some table scatter in blue and white, a little wreath, and I just thrifted this, but it needs to be flexible. Got some pink little berries or flower pods, got greenery, and some of this white holly. I'm going to use a little box from Dollar Tree. It's square and you're going to use the top and the bottom. Then you get to do the fun part, picking all the trims and frills that go on. I'm going to use that pink, and then we have a variety of blue. This looks kind of snowy. And here's some vintage ribbon, and this is also vintage. Okay, so now you get to pick your papers. I am going to use this one and that glittery one, and they came from this pack. Alright, so you're going to remove that sticker and feel the satisfaction of it coming off pretty much in one piece, because that always makes me happy. It's the little things, y'all. It's the little things. Okay, so we're going to take that box apart, set the top aside, grab your pencil, and let's start making some panels for the sides of the box. I'm going to measure this from the top to the bottom sideways. Get the ruler and extend that line. Then we're going to cut out the strip. We're going to do the same thing on the silver glittery paper. Gorgeous paper, by the way. Cut that one out. And then you can save the other pieces for other decorations if you want to. Put them aside, you can save them. Then we're going to need 2 of the blue and 2 of the glittery silver. We're going to cut the panels down to the measurements of the sides of the box. And instead of using a ruler, I'm just going to trace it down here. Just put the box on it and cut it down. You're going to need to cut those pieces after you get the silver and the blue done, because we're going to have silver on 2 sides and the blue on 2 sides. Now the blue paper is not vintage, but it is vintage inspired, and that's what this video is going to be like. So it's going to be inspired. It's going to have some elements of retro, and it's going to be mixed in with a little bit of, you might want to call it shabby chic. I'm not entirely sure what you would call it. So I'm going to just use hot glue. You can do anything you want to glue this down, any type of glue. Hot glue works best for me when I am doing these projects for you guys, so that's what I use. But you can definitely use double stick tape or whatever you like to use here, as long as you get your sides down evenly as possible on your box. Now don't worry if you have a hair of it hanging over, because we're going to be able to trim that down shortly, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay, so if you don't like the look of this, you can do all of one color. I just like the difference here. This beautiful trim was given to me by a sweet lady not too very long ago, the beginning of summer, I do believe, and it is beautiful for this piece. This came from Dollar Tree, and y'all, this ribbon is actually adhesive, so you can just peel the back off, and I didn't even know it when I picked it up. So you're going to pull this around. I'm putting mine right to the bottom edge, lining it up with the bottom edge of the top of the box, holding it straight in my hand and just pulling off a little of that backing as I need and as I go. I'm going to cut it off and then make sure that I've got it all pressed down and I'm liking the look. I'm going to start in the corner and grab that trim. And a lot of what we're doing now is going to be kind of repetitive, because you're going to put the stuff on top and you're going to kind of layer it on there to give it a lot of texture. You can certainly use any type of lace that you have or trim. That would be really pretty, whatever you like. I just thought for this vintage video that we would do some pinks and blues, because I have not done this before. And I think the colors are really, really pretty. They're soft and pretty, and they look retro to me. Alright, so we're going to continue along, and I'm going to put this beautiful trim down here. You can see the glitter through the trim, the pink trim that I have there, and then I've got this on top of it, so we're layering it up, making it look luxe. We're going to cut it off and make sure that everything is glued down nicely so you don't have anything coming apart. Try to keep those lines nice and straight if you want to achieve a high-end look. Look how adorable this is. Cute. So I'm just going to grab an emery board and just kind of file down, and then sometimes after I file down and to the side, I'm going to go back over it in the other direction. That's going to give you kind of a white edge. You're going to see that paper under there. If you don't like that, you can take a little bit of antiquing wax and run your finger down those seams, and it'll give an old look. And then I'm going to, this is on like thick wire, so I'm just going to bend the wire and to make this into a square so that I can get this down on top of the wreath of the box. And you don't have to do this. You don't have to make it a square. You can keep it a circle. It's totally up to you. That is your preference. On this channel, I encourage you to make it your own. If it brings you joy, then you're doing the right thing. Okay? So I'm going to go on the corners because mine is a square. I've bent it into a square, and I'm just going to press this down. I thrifted this little piece, but you can get little wreaths like this just practically anywhere. Now I can't put my weight in the center, so I'm going to put a ruler in the middle and hold it down with that weight until it is dried. And now this is how it's going to look. I'm going to take those pieces of greenery and pull them back so that there's a little more in the center. It's going to make a little well in the center, almost like a nest. Then I'm going to take these beautiful pieces and cut those off. And I encourage you to use any colors, anything you like. If you have all white and you want to use all white, go for it. I think that would be beautiful as well. So I've cut down the pieces that I think I'm going to need. I'm going to take a little bit of foam, and this just came out of some packing materials I had. And then I'm going to have enough of a stem there where I can poke it into that foam. And I'm just kind of doing it at a low angle. And I'm going to make a square. So you'll see there's, or an X, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. And then I'll go in between those and add in another layer. I'm flexing the wire in there so that it gives it a little body and it stands up just a little bit. We like the dimension, so that's what we're going to do here. That dimension that we always talk about as crafters, it just gives you something to keep the eye busy. It gives you, it's kind of that thing that keeps you looking. It draws your attention, you know? And I like that. I like that there's, look at that. See all the layering in there? I think that's really pretty. It makes your pieces look unique and high-end, and I think pretty much we all achieved that, strive to achieve that, don't we? Okay, so I'm going to take some of this holly, and yes, this is vintage holly. It does have dust on it, but it also has glitter on it. So I did the best I can to get all of the dust off of them, but they still have a slight aged color, and I'm totally fine with that because it matches the vintage idea or the retro idea, right? Our little throwback bird. Okay, so I'm going to trim this down so that I can put a little bit of these little flowers or berries, whatever these are, right in the middle of each little clump of the holly. And the little bird I got at dirt cheap in a pile of stuff that came from Target. So you may find one at a garage sale. You may have something around your house that would work perfectly in here. And you can always use Velcro if you want to, if you don't want to destroy or if you want to reuse your piece. Just be gentle with it. Okay, then I'm going to add some of the scatter in here. We'll take some pieces of the white picks that I pulled the holly off of, and we'll have some that are going to be a little bit higher. And you're going to see these in different areas because I do move them around a little bit until I get them where I think they fit best. I'm just looking at it from all angles. Remember, you need to check it out fully before you make a final decision. I'm going to take some of that silver rickrack, and I am going to pull that down into just a really simple bow. Nothing complicated for this. Then I will cut it off and add a little glue to her neck so that she has a very pretty little bow. Now I'm cutting down these little pieces of this snowy looking stuff that I thrifted. And you can also use the white kind of meshy looking ribbon that you get at Dollar Tree. That I think would look great here as well. This is a little glittery, so I think that I like it in here, so that's why I'm using it. And these are essentially little tails. They're not actually a bow, but it gives a little something else, and it gives a little, again, depth and dimension to your project. So it's about 3 or 4 inches long, and I pinch it in the middle after I've dovetailed it, and then just push the tails up together, holding it in the middle. That's going to make those cute little flyaway looking pieces, and I'm just going to tuck them around just here and there, you know, where I feel like it's balanced and where it looks good. And fluff it out, make sure it's pretty. Ooh, I almost dropped her. I love the movement in here. I do see that I want to trim down that one little table scatter on the top there. It is a little bit too long, so I'm just going to take my wire cutters. I like to cut these pieces at an angle because they pierce down into the foam much easier. Much easier. So there's a little tip for you. And I'm just going to press it down. And now I like that. That looks a little more balanced to me. I'm going to take another little piece of holly. This is like the end piece where it's small and compact, and put it right behind her. And I think that really showcases that precious little bird. Okay, so now we are back to our box. Let's work on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to put the same coordinating trim on the bottom. And I want to remind you here, do this your way. Do this however you like it. If you want to layer ribbons the entire way, you do that. If you don't want to put anything on the bottom, you do not have to do that either. I love making these little gift boxes because you can use these either as decoration. You can give them as a gift. You could put a gift card in there, some candy in there, and give them as a gift, so the person is getting not only what's inside the box, but they have a keepsake that they can put out for years to come. Now we're going to double that up. I'm going to add some more of that beautiful vintage ribbon on top. And then we're going to put the top back on. Now, turn your top upside down, fold up the trim, and then put the box into the lid. It could be a bit of a little tight squeeze, but just, you'll get it in there. Just work with it. And then put the trim back down. She is a little beauty for sure. I really like this. And I hope that you try to make something like this yourself. She's a cutie pie. The next project is going to be a mini mold tree. We're going to use these little jello molds. I have 3 in 3 different sizes. I have a base. This is going to be our base. It's just a little metal candle holder. We're going to use a paint tray and some paint. You can choose. I want to have a paint that's going to match closest to the color of the eyes on the bird and what's going on in the paper. Some paint brushes, of course. We're also going to be using some glitter and some Mod Podge. Alright, now if you like the look that's already on there, go ahead and leave it that way. I wanted to change it to more of a silvery tone. So this one's a little bit newer than the other two, so the colors did not match up. Now if I was doing rustic, I would have left them just like this, probably added some antiquing wax to them to really show the age, but not for this project. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 in silver, 1 in blue. The middle one is going to be in blue. Then I'm going to go all over this base in this silver as well. When they're dry, this is how they're going to look. And I like this much better. This is 2 layers of paint on this blue one. I'm just going to grab some glossy Mod Podge, put it in this is like a lid from a treat. Then I'm going to grab my glitters too. I think it was from Cotton Candy, as a matter of fact. You'll need a container to mix your glitter, so we're going to do silver, white, and blue. Give it a good shake there. We're going to dip this just like we're making margaritas, ladies. Yes, like you're making a margarita. You're going to rim that. You're going to put it down in your bucket and kind of jiggle it around a little bit until it is covered in that beautiful glitter. And when you pull it out, it's going to have this beautiful multicolored frosty edge. We'll go ahead and do that blue one as well, and then we'll do the other piece. And when you put these down, be sure you put them upside down on the paper so that they will dry, or whatever surface that you're using, your mat or whatever you're using. You know how glitter is. There's a lot of glitter in my craft area, I can tell you that. Okay, so here are all three of those. You're going to set them aside and let them dry, of course. And while they're drying, we're going to take the rest of that Mod Podge and empty it down in here. It's almost like when I use this, it's not like a resin, but you're almost doing because we're doing a thick layer and we're going to put glitter on this thick layer, it makes it really thick. There's no sparse areas. Like when it's dried, it is absolutely stunning. You don't see the Mod Podge at all. All you see is the glitter. So I'm really just going to pour all the rest of that glitter on there. I'm shaking it because you can't move it around once it hits that Mod Podge. So be sure that you sprinkle it out all over that little base, whatever base you're using. Tap it around. If it wants to move a little bit, that's fine. You can always take the rest of it once it's dry and tap it out into a tray. And then you can use the rest of that separately. Let the lids, well, not the lids, the molds dry, and then we're going to put down a base. So this is going to be a Christmas tree, so we need to take our base and press it down in there. This is just like a little spool for some, I think this was from some ribbon from Target maybe, and it was broken. I'm pressing it down in there and patting it down with my fingers so you don't see any disruption. Now everything's nice and smooth. And then I'll be using these wood blocks. Now y'all, I promise you, I don't try to copy anybody else's projects. However, when I was working on this, I did see that somebody on, where was that? Pinterest, I think, did a method similar to this. So I'm not copying anybody. I thought I was being original, but there you go. It has been done before, but this is my version of it. Let's put it that way. Okay, so this is going to be the base of our Christmas tree. Once you get your little wooden blocks glued in there, so you've got some dimension and some openings, so you want to have a little bit of shade in between each one, so they're spaced somewhat evenly. And you're going to have to let that dry overnight. But let's go ahead and embellish the top. We're going to take one of these beautiful little bird picks. This was on clearance at, I think it was Hobby Lobby last year. We're going to add some hot glue here and put a little bird topper. How about that? Use whatever type of topper that you would like. Y'all come and join us on the crafting cruise. It's February the 24th through the 29th. I would love to see you and give you a big old hug. Go check it out. Got the link in the description box below. Okay, the next is going to be tart pan ornaments, and we're going to do 4. I'm going to go with that same silver paint. I had a box of these little tart pans I found at Goodwill, so I'm going to use 4 different shapes. I'm going to use those birds. These are little pieces in a card making kit that I thrifted. Some more of that holly, possibly, and then whatever type of greenery you like. Some frosted greenery, and that one's from Dollar Tree last year. I'm going to take a brush and start adding this on here because these are very shiny and I want to dull them down, so we're really going to age these. See the difference? After they are dry, I'm going to go in with some antiquing wax and a somewhat of a chippy stencil brush, I guess you could call it. It's got long, stiff bristles, and I'm going to flick this along. Try not to get any wax in the middle because you're going to be embellishing that, and you don't want the wax to interfere with any adhesives you use. I'll have a hammer, a little fine screwdriver, or an awl. Now, all the glitter and the goodies. I've already decided what I want in each of my ornaments. And then we're going to have some of this wire. So I'm going to, once I decide what I want in each one, I'm just going to dump them in little piles where I can remember which ones I want to use. So in order. And then we're going to make holes for our hangers. I'm going to take my awl. Be sure that you have a block of wood underneath there, or some of that thin wood panels that you can get from Dollar Tree to protect your table. In this one, we're going to use 1 hole, and this one we'll be doing 2, and I'm just going to show you an example of how you do 1 and how you do 2. If you do 2 in the top, you need them to be equally spaced so that the ornament will hang in the right way. Okay, now we're going to cut the hangers, and we're going to be making our own hangers. If you want to skip this part, you are welcome to do so and just use regular hangers that you find at the store. But I'm going to twist my end. This is how it's going to hang. I'm going to thread it back through the other hole, twist that in, so you have some little curly thingamabobbers that are going to hold on. And I think that gives it a cute look. And you can twist it around, and you can use whatever. I like to use this wire on the paddle, but you can use whatever wire you can find, and you can definitely use something you get at Dollar Tree or something you already have in your home. Okay? Go in the toolbox. There might be something there you can use. Alright, so now we have a hook. I'm going to grab that Mod Podge and a brush, and we're going to start embellishing these little cuties. See, they look much more aged now. I'm going to add Mod Podge on this round one on the edges, and then I'm going to tap that glitter, just using the white glitter in this one. I'm going to tap that glitter all over the place. And y'all, I don't think I've ever paid full price for any glitter ever. I usually find it at the thrift store. But Dollar Tree has lots of really nice packs of glitter right now, and they do have something in like a aqua or a bluish color that is, I think, a 3-pack. That is really nice. You might could find something like that to use here if you like the blue and the pink. I'm going to go over the center of this beautiful flower and just tap that off. Look how pretty. Just a little extra frostiness, and using a wood block to elevate it so that it has room up there. Just glued that down. I'm going to go to the next one. I'm trimming a little piece of scrap. This came from that card pack. I'm going to add some hot glue and then press that down. Then joining the sides of that and slightly up, not all the way to the top. I want the age to show on this one. Going to tap it over there, and then you can add your glitter. Now, for anybody who is thinking in their head before you put it down here, when I'm crafting, I don't exactly know what I'm going to be doing until I do it. So if you're wondering why I did the painting and all that kind of stuff just to cover it in glitter, is because I want to keep everything on the same page. If that, in my head, it makes more sense that way. I feel like it's easier to show you this way. Okay, so I've added 2 beads and a bird in the bottom, and that little bird is precious. I'm going to add a little pink bow here for her. You could do this with ribbon too, but this is just a piece of that same card making kit. That is a cutie. That is a cutie. She's a cutie pie. Alright, so we're going to grab some more, and I'm trying to give you a variety of ideas of how you can do this. Okay, so that's why I'm showing you all these different ways. Now I'm going to take that mixed glitter and go right into the middle of that, shake it around, tap off excess. We're going to make somewhat of a faux snowman here. So I'm going to put a big one on the bottom, a small one on top of that. I'm going to trim down some of these pieces of frosted greenery and tuck those in. Add a little glue here to hold them in place. And be careful, you need to use a cool temp on these little thin pieces of plastic greenery, because otherwise they'll just melt and curl up, and then your piece will be a disaster. Look at that one! Love it! Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. Now this one's way too big for what I like. The main focal point is going to be the poinsettia in the middle. So I'm just going to trim off little bits of this and leave some of the greenery, but trim, some of it off so it fits better. For this one, I'll be using tacky glue. Just to show you a difference, I'm going to put the glue down, a tiny piece of scrap foam, a little bit of glue back on top of that foam, and then the print right down on top. Now if you were to use hot glue on that foam, it will melt clear through it. I did it. I edited it out. Okay. Now I'm going to add beads, a little bit of hot glue and beads all the way around to all the way back to the front. This is giving me Victorian vibes here, y'all. Okay, so another one of those little bows on the top of this one. I'm going to add a little something in the middle. This came off the top of a push pin or a tack. It's just a little gold sticker that was on it, and I thought it would look pretty there. Now I decided I want to add a little glitter in the background, so I'm just going to take a long bristle brush, just kind of put it in there in no particular way, and then tap in that silver and tap the excess out. Cute! If you have enjoyed the retro vintage look in this video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. It lets me know that what I'm doing is something that you enjoy seeing, and I can create more of those things. Also, if you would share the video, that would be much appreciated, so that other people can get a little inspiration themselves for Christmas. We made a decorative box today, a little stacked tree, and 4 ornaments in a pink and blue and silver theme. Got a little bit of gold in those ornaments up above. I hope that it's given you a little idea of how you can do your own crafting if you enjoy a retro or vintage look in your home for the holidays. Something that happens in your day to day is a joyful experience for you and that your heart is happy. And I'm so happy to be part of your day. Thank you for taking the time to stop by and check out my videos and give me support and encouragement. I'm going to have another video in the rectangle down here on the bottom, and you can subscribe by hitting the circle. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.